Hey everyone! In today's video, we're working on a pretty hill with triple waterfalls and this simple and peaceful red panda habitat with a few details around it. This is my second time around working on this habitat and its surrounding areas. The first time I started building a long, snaking rock outcropping with waterfalls and river and tried to set up the habitat against the cliffside, and it just wasn't shaping up the way I wanted it to, even though the walkway for the guests was working out. I ended up tearing it all down and started again, and this time I compromised a little bit between having a nice walking area for the guests and a decent habitat for the pandas. Of course, at the end of building it, I got an idea and I'll have to use it in a different enclosure in the future. I wasn't willing to tear it all down just to start yet again. So I'll do that idea in the empty spot off to the side of this enclosure. I might go back to the other side of the zoo and work there for the next video though first. Anyway, as we're seeing, I set up a hill with a small set of waterfalls trickling into a slow flowing river that will snake its way through a little bit more of our zoo. I wish we could have a slower waterfall animation item, but for now we're making do. I decorated the hill with rocks and spent a lot of time blending them together the best I can to try and make it more uniform and natural looking, while also keeping some of the jaggedness. I still have a few parts around it I need to finish up, but as I've decided to add into that area, I'm leaving it a bit bare in case I need to make bigger changes. After that, I wanted to have the walkway for the guests to cross the river at a level that they can view the waterfalls clearly, and had imagined they would pass in front of them, which they still might do in the future. I'm not huge on how many people just stand on top of the raised walkway and stare over the fence and block up a whole lot of traffic there. Later on in the video, I end up lowering the bridge and playing with the fencing and adding in guest items around the other side to try and push them out of gathering in that one area. Once there's another enclosure on that other side, I'm sure they'll move along. When I started working on the habitat, I really had this idea to have a raised sleeping area for the pandas to escape the crowds. But also, the last time I had a raised space for a climbing species, I ended up with piles of filth in it that the keepers couldn't clean up. So I opted for a space that gave the pandas room to hide and also allowed the keepers to come in and clean. I do have some details to fill in on that building, but didn't want to spend too much more time in the video on it. Already, this video is plenty long with a bunch of stuff cut out and sped up 800%. I'll fill in the details in my own time, as well as finishing up some of the surrounding areas that need filling in, and I'll show it all off in another video when it's done. Inside the enclosure, I had imagined a cute little river with trees overhanging one spot where the pandas could move from side to side, but again I needed to have keepers have access to clean, so I opted for a natural stone bridge that allows everything to cross, and sadly, the pandas use it more than the couple of trees that I did lean against each other in hopes of them using those. I don't see them climbing many of the trees I placed in their enclosure, despite a good amount of them being climbable, and when using the hood it shows that they have access to them. I've seen them climb a total of one tree, and I did make a climbing structure for them so they can use that too. It's simple and kind of weird looking, but I wanted to make my own instead of using a prefabricated one. The rest of the enclosure is very simple, and I realized when filming some bee footage a little bare close to the ground, so I may have to rebalance the foliage a little, maybe remove the non-climbable trees in lieu of bushes and shrubs. Speaking of which, I did sink some trees down into the ground that have interesting shapes to the top to imitate shrubbery, a trick I learned a few years ago from some other YouTubers. I use it sparingly nowadays since they've added a slew of new shrubs in the years since then. Now I only usually do it if I'm looking for a specific shape, color, or feel that can only be matched by a specific tree, or if the biome doesn't have many bush options. Although Planet Zoo has done a good job of making sure we have a ton of options and ways to use them, even if I'm not creative enough to use them. At the end of this build, I find myself looking at it and realizing I made yet another flat style enclosure, and I think I need to challenge myself to more shapely designs and try to give more interesting viewpoints for us and our guests. I've acknowledged this in my Prehistoric Kingdom series a few times, and I see I keep falling back into my comfort of flat, one-dimensional kind of land designs. And while there's nothing wrong with that, as many places in our real world are pretty flat, I do want to create different, interesting depths in my zoos. I think I'm going to need to spend a lot of time studying different real-life regions and other people's builds to see how to bring those concepts into my comfort zone. Since my home region in real life is exceptionally flat, I don't know anything else besides prairie grasses, some trees, and kilometers of horizon. So bear with me while I try my best to learn to incorporate something foreign into my designs. And feel free to drop your most favorite real-life scenic view in the comments. With that all said, I'm going to let you guys enjoy the rest of the video, and I hope you all enjoyed our time together today. Take care.